It's great to be here at the chapel, or I'm telling everyone back home, the Chappelle. It just sounds better if I say I'm working with Chappelle today. You know, everyone back home is really, really impressed with that, so I thought that was really cool. This is the after lunch slot, so I was going to be hilarious, but now that everybody's digesting, you're digesting food, so I'm going to take it down a notch and just be amusing. Okay, so that's right there, that laughter, even that was a bit much, just a little less. So just a little less would be perfect on that one. I'm here to talk about being a comedian. A comedian's job is the simplest in society. No, yeah, you laughed, all right? So right there, right? Perfect, this is great. It is not the easiest in society, but it is the simplest. And what I mean by that is it can be summed up in 3 words. Make people laugh. That's it. That is our job. If we also want to say something, if we want to make you think, do all that stuff, that's great. But at the end of the day, our job is to make people laugh. That is our job. There are 2 types of comedians. There are comedians who say funny things, and there are comedians who say things funny. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who, when they say funny things, they're great on Twitter, they're great in the written word, on Facebook. It's funny on the page. Then there are other people who are like, I don't know, they're just funny. It's like the scene from Goodfellas, right, where Ray Liotta is talking to Joe Pesci, and Joe Pesci's like, what do you mean I'm so funny? What is so funny about me? And then Ray Liotta's like, I don't know, just the way you tell the story. I mean, my Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta sound very similar. They're the same guy to me. I don't know. I'm not great at impressions. But the point is, he can't really quite pinpoint what is so funny about Joe Pesci, but he's funny. I cannot remember if it was Chris Rock or me who said this. I get us mixed up all the time. I really do. I have a hard time keeping us straight. By the way, that's the last time I met him when I had hair. That's how great my career is going. So I have to go 8 years ago when I met Chris Rock, and never our paths crossed ever since. But the idea is, people will often ask us, do you want to make people think when you're on stage? No, we don't. We want you to laugh in the room and think on the way home. That's the difference. Then I believe it was really Chris Rock who said that. And we want you to laugh in the room, think on the way home. When you drive home or you take the BART or whatever it is, you're like, oh, that bald Indian guy, what he said, was that true? That's what the reaction we're going for there. We are modern day court jesters. That is exactly what comedians are. We're truth tellers. Back in in medieval kingdoms, that was the role of the jester, was to convey truth to the king without fear of retribution. That was really it. You could not decapitate the jester. The jester could whisper truths in the king's ear with immunity. And that was really the role that was played back then. There are a lot of examples of this throughout history. And in this day and age now, that's our function. That's exactly what we do. There are a lot of kings in society, or there were. Our modern day kings are, I know, we're in San Francisco, the president, the government, the media, the 4 estates of society. But over the years and over the generations, we've kind of lost faith in a lot of these institutions. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people here probably don't like the president. We don't really trust the government that much. We're not sure about the media. We go home for Thanksgiving or Easter. It's Ramadan, let's say Ramadan. You go home for Ramadan, as we all do, I'm sure. And why not? And we sit there and we have uncles, we have aunts, we have people who live in that Fox News, Sean Hannity, Wall Street Journal editorial page section, in that bubble. And then, but sometimes we forget we live in sort of the Rachel Maddow, NPR, MSNBC, Chris Matthews bubble, right? So we live in these different bubbles. And when Kellyanne Conway talked about alternative facts, comedians died, okay? That was a really, really terrible thing for us, because if we cannot even agree on the facts, how can we agree on the truth? That's the whole idea, as we try to get to truth, and that was just a gigantic step backwards for us. The kings have been slain. If you look at, what Spotlight did we're in the chapel, maybe I shouldn't talk about Spotlight, but the idea, that was a perfect, right, but maybe don't say that. But, the church has lost credibility, the media, the government, everybody's lost credibility, and maybe jesters are the last ones standing. If we think about it, a lot of us get our news from the fake news, right? The real fake news, the funny news. We watch Trevor Noah, we watch Dennis Miller, maybe not this room. We watch Bill Maher, maybe not after last week. We watch John Oliver. They're just falling, it's crazy. A lot of these people are the way that we get our news is through them. If you look at Stephen Colbert, he picked a side. That's kind of crazy. He sort of went full tilt liberal recently. A lot of us, me included, blame Jimmy Fallon for the reason that Donald Trump is our president. He messed up Trump's hair, and then by doing that, he messed up the country. It was kind of weird, like he did that. And then Trump was sort of humanized. He made him a human. It was a Jester and the king to be, and he made him a king. And ever since, his ratings have never really recovered. Colbert has passed him. I'm very happy to see that. I'm a big Colbert fan. But I think by picking a side, he decided to convey his truths that way. And if you watch any of his monologues in the last few weeks, the guy is just completely on fire. He really found his voice. He always played this sort of character on the Colbert Report, and then when he took over late night, we weren't really sure what was going to happen, the Late Show, and you watch him now, and the guy is just in the groove. It extends to Hudson Minaj. I don't know how many people saw this man perform at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He killed it. He got the only standing ovation in 25 years, and he's my old roommate. So that's why he's in the presentation, really. That's really the reason. He's from up here. He lived with me for a couple of years. And so I haven't really done anything with my career, but my old roommate hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is, I like to, the credits can be sort of, I think they can rub off, I hope. That's kind of the idea. No presentation is really complete without Mary Poppins. I mean, really. I mean, how do you not have Mary Poppins in a presentation? It's a rule. It's an ordinance somewhere, I think. Mary Poppins, of course, sang "A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down." And if we think of the medicine as the truth, we think a spoonful of sugar as the what was I saying? Whatever I was saying. You get it. Okay, the idea being, that's why we have slides, right? If I had a bumper sticker, they always say you need a bumper sticker for your speech. So this is my bumper sticker for my speech. It's very clunky. It's not very zippy. But humor is the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine of truth go down. That fits on cars down in Los Angeles. Up here, on Vespas and smart cars and Priuses. Is the plural of that? Is that Priya? Can we ask an Indian girl? Is it Priya? I don't know. It seems like Priya would be the plural. The point being that humor and the truth have a very, very close relationship, as all Indian people do too. That was the underlying subtext. Speak the same language. It goes all the way back. If we go all the way back to 1959, I did this joke. I've only done this presentation one other time, and this got a huge groan. And I thought, well, okay, just if you don't like this joke, it's Dick Clark's fault, okay? He's the one who said, of course, there's a modicum of truth to every joke. Have you ever heard a joke about a father-in-law? Same reaction, I know. Not funny, apparently, anymore. Blame him. It's okay. He's dead. It doesn't matter. All right, that was kind of harsh. Too soon, Sami? 1884, Friedrich Nietzsche said, we should call every truth false, which was not accompanied by at least one laugh. Go all the way back to 1389. Who's this man? Does anyone know? Educated, literary, San Francisco crowd. Very nice. Geoffrey Chaucer, everybody. Geoffrey Chaucer. I know. Usually you see him facing the other way. I get it. I get it. Geoffrey Chaucer. He said, many a true word has been spoken in jest. So this is a very, very old concept. Let's bring it up a little bit more to present day. One of my favorite moments in entertainment history was when Amy Poehler and Tina Fey hosted the 2015 Golden Globe Awards. They did a great job. They were about to present an award to George Clooney, the Lifetime Achievement Award. And do you remember this? I remember this. It was hilarious. Where Tina Fey, I'm going to butcher it, but she said something like, she's talking about Amal, his wife. And he says, and she says, Amal has, okay, I have it written down, worked on the Enron case. She advised Kofi Annan on Syria, and she was part of a 3-member UN council about human rights violations in Gaza Strip. So tonight, her husband is receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. Tina Fey's so good, you could butcher the punchline and it's still good, all right? So that's exactly it. She crushed that. It was such a great statement about sexism in society, and that was a comedian delivering a beautiful joke. I said Colbert does this. George Carlin did this, probably better than anybody. I'm obsessed with George Carlin. I just sent the best of George Carlin to my mom. It's like this hour-long thing, and she's been watching it. She's loving it. He's timeless. Chris Rock, I already mentioned, he's great. And what comedians like Chris Rock do is offer up solutions. I don't know if you remember his rant a long time ago about gun control, right? And he was talking about gun control. He's like, you know what we really need to do is we need to control the bullets. We need some bullet control. We need to charge $5,000 a bullet. Because if it costs $5,000 to shoot a bullet, you'd think twice before shooting somebody. Right? So it's this idea, Chris Rock and Joe Pesci, same level of terrible impression. So it's not really my thing. But do what do impressions anyway, even if you don't do them. So Chris Rock, or if you think about When Harry Met Sally, one of my favorite movies of all time. Billy Crystal is talking to Meg Ryan, and she's lamenting, not being able to find an apartment in New York City. And he says, well, what's so hard about finding an apartment, really? What you do is you read the obituaries, and you go to the building, and you tip the doorman. Actually, to make it easier, they could combine the two, right? Yesterday, Mr. Klein died, leaving behind a wife, 2 children, and a beautiful 3-bedroom apartment with a wood-burning fireplace, right? So the idea of this being a solution, of course, it's a little silly, but you walk away going, that may not be a bad app. Somebody come up with this. This is the right city for that, right? So there's that kind of way of connecting the obituaries and the wanted ads or something like that. But it's funny, but it is a solution. Because of my connections in Hollywood, I was able to get this picture of Jerry Seinfeld. That's it. There's nothing else, really. I met him the other day, but that's about it. I thanked him for transcendental meditation. That's what my big speech to him was about. That's another thing. But again, we're in a chapel. So we couldn't get Jerry Seinfeld for my company, but I do have a company where we connect comedians and businesses and help people solve their problems. We did a thing in New York City at Gotham Comedy Club, and we had Sebastian Maniscalco, Bonnie McFarlane, Roy Wood Jr., and Orny Adams. And Orny Adams was in a movie with Jerry Seinfeld called Comedian. And by the way, I highly recommend that movie if you haven't seen it, or if you have, see it again. The tagline for it, the log line is, where does comedy come from? And it talks about the process and how we come up with jokes. It's beautiful. Orny Adams was the other person in this movie. We had him come in, and we got a contract with a yogurt company, and I don't want to give away which yogurt company it was, but we were outside of New York. You can maybe sort of figure it out or Google it or something like that. But he was up there on stage, and he was doing his thing. What we do is we have these comedians do about 20 minutes each about yogurt. Okay, so these comedians are so good, they can write 20 minutes on anything. So they're up there, and we kind of told them, we sort of padded it a little bit, because this company had recently changed the name of one of its yogurts. It was called Greek yogurt, and they changed it to something else. I'm not going to give it away, but I'll just say blank. Okay, they changed it to blank. And no one at the company, sort of the underlings, were afraid to tell the king about the change in the name, and they didn't really like it, and the focus groups were sort of revealing it wasn't really working. No one was really sure how to do it. We're like, well, get Orny to do it. Why not, right? So Orny goes up there. He doesn't work here. He's a jester today, right? He goes up there, and he does a bit about it. And he goes, I understood it when it was called Greek yogurt. You guys changed it to blank. What the F is blank? And the place went completely nuts, and everybody was applauding, and the kings, the management, finally got the message, that, hey, maybe this is not such a great name, and it was a great way to convey truths to the king. And they took it really well, because the company has a great culture. Yogurt. Anyone? Where's the socks? I gotta, I can play that game, Sami. All right. And speaking of Sami, he did a lot of formulas, a lot of math. I only have one math joke. It's weird. Indian guy only has one. That's strange. The Palestinian guy had like 10 of them. So that's good. But we have land. So don't improvise. Just stick to the script. Okay, stick to the script. I will need security on the way out. Thank you. That would be great. The structure, uneasy laughter. That's what I go for. We went from amused to uneasy. This is good. It's a variety of. You guys are you're killing. You're doing a great job. Okay, so the structure of every joke is the same, and I think this is why I'm here today. I told this to David. He goes, "Oh, that's brilliant, mate." I can't do Irish either. And this is what I told him, that the structure of every joke is 1, 2, 4. That is the structure of every joke you've ever heard. It's not 1, 2, 3, because that would just be counting. If I said 1, 2, 3, you'd be like, yeah, and, right? It'd be like the reaction to most of my jokes when I do stand-up. So there'd really be nothing to it. You'd be establishing a pattern and then kind of just continuing the pattern. That's not really interesting. Or if I said 1, 2, 7, you're just confused. You're like, I don't get the leap. What do you mean 1, 2, 7? But if I say 1, 2, 4, I'm establishing a pattern with 1 and 2, and then I'm surprising you, and you can see what I did there. You can look at it and go, oh, you weren't counting, you were doubling the numbers. The pattern makes sense in retrospect as you look back and connect the dots, as Steve Jobs said. So it's that sort of thing. Every joke is 1, 2, 4. And that's why comedians are good at this, is we speak in jokes. Atoms are the basic building block of matter, right? They're just great the way that they're structured. But the way that we speak is in jokes, and jokes are designed to be little truth carriers because they establish a pattern and then they surprise you. I'm taking a stand. To die in a music venue with that joke is particularly sad. But what I'm going to talk about is that actually we don't look for what's funny in society. A lot of people think, what do you guys walk around with like a pen and a pad? And like, yeah, because it's 1997, a pen and a pad. You have my Palm Pilot. I walk around with my iPhone and I write things down and we're looking for what's funny. That's not necessarily true. It's kind of like when we go shopping. You're not sort of looking into every window. You're kind of looking at what sort of grabs your attention. You're like, oh, that looks good. And so that's sort of what we're doing. We're not really looking for what's funny. We're looking for what's different. We're looking for what stands out and grabs our attention. If I say, look at the funny dot, we'll all look at the same one. We'll look at the pink one. What's funny about it? I don't know. It's like the beginning. Well, I don't know. Why is it funny? I don't know. It's different. It looks different. It's funny. And that's usually what you mean when something's funny, right? When you say, I feel funny. If the Mexican food didn't sit really well with you, you'll be like, oh, I feel funny. You know what I mean? So that's what you mean. You feel different from how you normally feel. The structure of every joke, like I mentioned, was 1, 2, 4. But really what it also is, it's a setup, a punchline. It's a setup, a punchline, and a tag. This is true if you take a Jerry Seinfeld joke. He did an old joke where he says, they're showing you TV commercials now, how you can get blood stains out of laundry. Blood stains? Really? I mean, I think if you've got a blood stain in your t-shirt, maybe laundry isn't your biggest priority right now. Maybe you should focus on getting the harpoon out of your chest. It's a brilliantly told joke. Of course it's Seinfeld, it's brilliant. And you got the setup. He talks about the commercial, the punchline, maybe laundry isn't your biggest priority right now, and then he tags it. A tag is sort of a smaller punchline, an act out, an illustration of it, and that's the structure of every joke. What's interesting is the structure of every ad is the same. Marketers, you know this. You have an insight, a benefit, and a reason to believe. It's the same idea. You establish something, an insight, an accepted consumer belief. Something like, no guy likes the irritation that comes along with shaving. No girl either. No guy, no girl likes the irritation that comes along with shaving. Man or woman or anything in between. San Francisco, I want to be careful. And no one, no person. Person's good? Okay, good. No person likes this. And that's, so the new Gillette Fusion Pro Super Deluxe, whatever it is, provides minimal irritation with a closer shave. That's the benefit. And then they might say something in the commercial like, that's because they've added a 98th blade to it, or whatever they've done now. So it's the same structure. You've got a setup, punchline, tag. You've got an insight, benefit, and reason to believe. The idea of this is call before you dig. The idea is if you want to learn how to be funny, come to you, I guess. I don't know. Talk to Sami. I think Sami was pretty good. Talk to Sami. No, talk to us at Standpoint Agency. We're good at this. We're good at helping you find your funny and explain things. I think this is why people like comedians. And not only that we make you laugh, but we make you think, and we convey truths to you. We're not really so much a window as a mirror, and we hold that up to you, and we can see ourselves. And we knock things over. We're so good. So hopefully you enjoyed this talk, and you found it funny and original. And if you didn't think it was original, just remember that good artists borrow, great artists steal. And I can't remember who said that. Oh, that's right, I did. You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you very, very much, guys. Good night. Thank you.